Okay, it says it's also recording, so we've got this.
Does this mean it will come live on
It
the
should
Book
do.
of Face?
It should. We should be live on the Book of Face.
We should
very
be
soon.
live on the Book of Face.
It's saying live stream offline. Oh, live stream's coming online now. So I think we're online on YouTube at least. Haha.
Okay. Well, I don't see us here. Oh, wait. Here we are. Live videos.
Look at that.
There we
Would
are.
you believe
Yay. Okay.
we laugh in the face of the Mercury retrograde.
Oh, God.
Haha.
All right. Well, we do look so cute dressed alike, don't we?
This is our corporate gear. What are you talking about? It's
corporate
corporate wear.
All right.
It's our corporate wear.
Well, we thought we would come on Facebook Live tonight
Yes.
and talk to you a little bit about our upcoming class called Coming Home to the Craft of the Wise.
Coming home to the craft of the wise.
So it is a year and a day course. You come one Sunday a month, every single month
That's right.
for a year.
And a
then
day.
after that, you get to do a personal dedication with the people who graduate from your class. So we wanted to put together a course that was pretty encompassing of all the teachings of what we call the Stuart tradition.
Yes.
It's our tradition. It is traditional Wicca, and we call ourselves Welsh Celtic Wiccans because we do follow the gods and goddesses and the mythology of the Mabinogi.
That'd be this one.
That'd be this book here. So we just thought we'd come on and kind of talk to you about the things that would go on in the class or the items that are included in the class to kind of get you a little bit excited and have you sign up, because we are looking, of course, for people who are looking for us. So the first class is about the history of Wicca, isn't it?
It is. It is.
So you get...
It is. We should actually put some slides up, actually, because we've
Well, you
got a
could.
whole keynote that goes with this fun stuff.
Oh, right. Well, you could do that, I suppose.
Well, I
But
can't.
you get to learn about people who are
Who would be this person
like the
then?
movers and shakers of the craft. So this is Gerald Gardner.
Oh, the very
We,
same.
we talk about Gerald's high priestesses, Patricia Crowther. Certainly we talk a lot about Doreen Valiente. We talk about people like Robert Cochrane. All kinds of people who have played a part in the history of Wicca.
So,
And then,
before we get too deep into going through the syllabus, we should try and tell people why we're doing it. Don't you think?
oh, go ahead.
I think we should. So, a lot of people really look for a good, you know us, we run the awareness shop as well. And there's not a day goes by when somebody doesn't come in asking for a really good book to make a start on Wicca, to really get to know it. And, you know, the wonderful thing about the internet is, as well, you know, you can't actually put anything on there that isn't true. So a lot of people have sort of been trying to find out stuff, and there's lots of conflicting information pretty much everywhere. So we felt that as we've been doing sort of training for quite a while, that it might be a good idea to actually make a really good cohesive course. And if you'll excuse the blatant plug, in I think it's April 9th coming up, we have our own book coming out.
Called
which-
Simply Wicca,
Yes, a guide to the craft of the wise.
Guide to the Craft of the Wise.
So,
But that's not the book that we use in the course.
no, it isn't the book that we use in the course, oddly enough. But
Pussycats.
probably that was bound to happen eventually.
All right, so we have a lovely little black-footed puss whose name is Emmett.
Damn
But
it.
as you can see, he thinks his name is Dammit. And this is the kind of things that he does all the time. He
trash
just
the joint
trashes
as
things.
best as possible. So.
Anyway, so we want to send you home with the tools and the understanding of Wicca. So the first class is a history about the movers and the shakers.
Yes.
And then you go home with your binder, a book called The Heart of Wicca by Ellen Cannon Reed. This is included in the class. And this we use for our book club, so you're expected to read it cover to cover and be able to discuss things that are in it. You get our CD, Circle in a Box,
Which doesn't suck.
and this has an entire ritual to music how to consecrate the circle, cast the circle, call the quarters, call the god and goddess. It has chalice and blade, and it has a section in there for magical meditation or craft work, and that you could use for either sabbats or aspets. And then it does all the closings and thank yous. So this is a companion that you can use when we're not together. So after the introduction, then we do an hour's ritual, and that ritual helps you to kind of get acquainted with the with ritual itself, because many people who have come have only been solitaries.
That's true, yeah.
But we
Very,
have
very true.
held circle at the shop, well, since 1995, and at the location we're in now since 1997. And we've grown so much that instead of just holding sabbats and full moons, we now hold circle every Friday. So we have waning, waxing, new, full, and sabbats. So we hold about 50 gatherings a year, because I think there are two. We don't hold the Friday after Thanksgiving, and sometimes we don't hold the Friday after.
If it falls very close to 4th of July, we may skip that
Yeah.
one too, because, people like vacation.
So there's the introduction.
Yes.
And you will, of course, get ritual in there. So it kind of goes like a 2-hour lecture, an hour's ritual, and an hour book discussion. So lesson 2 is all about the Wheel of the Year, isn't it?
It is. It is the Wheel of the Year, which are the 8 spokes on the wheel, and the wheel itself are sabbats and what we do with them.
And we talk about the sabbats being one continual wheel and not just 8 separate holidays. And we
Yeah.
talk about the greater and lesser sabbats. And we do little things to help you remember why the sabbats are named what they are, and what their place is on the wheel, and how to honor them and turn the wheel.
Indeed. And so then when we get to lesson 3...
Okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, it's all right.
No, please, dive in.
And again,
I talk too much.
you with that Wheel of the Year workshop, there's a ritual that goes along with it. So we do something called a seed to blossom ritual, which kind of helps you understand how the wheel evolves and how your life reflects the wheel, and how the wheel becomes part of your life and you become part of the wheel, and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, sorry. Now why don't you talk about lesson 3?
Sure.
That's
Well,
your
lesson
territory there.
3 covers really, we follow a Welsh Celtic pantheon, as Lisa was saying, and this really explains Welsh mythology, where it comes from, how it got there, how Celtic actually grew, the lands of Celtic actually grew until the Romans came and sort of kind of tried to push everybody into
Romans.
sea, bless them. We look into the history of the Mabinogi, how that came about, and the heroes and gods and goddesses of the Mabinogi. And we talk about, we really don't go too deep because we've only got 2 hours in this particular class. But it does get to story time at the end, doesn't it? We actually run through all 4 branches quick. So,
And then we never have time for the book discussion at the end. But
we do.
no. And then included in the course is Sonny Davies's Mabinogi, so you get that. You also get a journal, a book to put down your crazy experiences, your weirdnesses, and all that good
Do you think
stuff.
people are going to have weird experiences?
That's not nice.
Siri thinks I called her weird, apparently.
I love it.
I love Mercury retrograde, don't you? It's so much fun.
See, that's my fault for poking fun at it.
So
'cause
when
got everything
we do
covered.
the Mabinogi, that ritual is a guided meditation to meet Caradwyn and Gwynapne. Like I said, we usually run out of time for book club at the end of that. Then the next lesson is
It's only a small one.
yeah,
this.
it's like a half a book here. This is the moon, the 8 phases of the moon, and we layer the moon's phases onto the Wheel of the Year, so you can start to understand that the new moon and Yule have similar characteristic, and that the full moon and Litha have similar characteristic. We talk about the moon being the goddess, and the sun being the god, and the goddess being the reflection, and how we know that The moon is full in the opposite sign of the sun, and the moon is new in the same sign of the sun. We
There's
make
some
people's
really good stuff in this
head
class.
bleed with astrology and a little scientific diagram. And then also included in here are the Ogham, which are Irish names for the Ogham
They exist
that
in
we
Wales
use.
too.
They do exist in Wales, and we teach the 13 tree lunations as well as the Sabbat trees. So this one is a really big one, and we of course do a journey to the trees for this class, and then you have some homework to do there.
This is awesome.
Then
It's elementary, my dear witchling. So we get into the elements at this point then, which is an amazing thing. And certainly now you've had a look at sort of the Sabbats and the Esbats, and now you can see the elemental sort of involvement of everything, and it all sort of starts to fit together very well. You're starting to get a good idea of how everything's coming. Somebody joining in, somebody saying hello, or is
No,
it just
I don't.
you're just looking at me going like
I
this?
don't see any comment.
I don't see any
I looked
comments.
before and I was afraid to touch anything because I thought it was going to dump me off. I was going to start a watch party, but I'm afraid to touch anything.
Well, what are you going to
So
do?
I'm just going to,
What's the worst that can happen?
I don't know, tear a hole in the space continuing. Oh, look, start a watch party.
All right, so something's going on now. Let's see what's going on.
All right.
So I'll keep talking anyway. If you give me that, here we go.
All right,
So,
I
folks,
think it worked now.
So she's starting a watch party, so this is really good.
All
So
right,
yes,
there you
lesson 5 is all about the elements, which is really good. Oh, there you go. There's people now joining us. That's marvelous. So we've probably been talking to ourselves for about half an hour.
Who knows? Anyway.
I don't know, 10 minutes anyway.
All right,
what
so
are you
lesson 5, the elements.
So- yes.
We talk about the elements, the elementals,
Yes.
the watchtowers,
Yes.
and then we do a journey to meet your hidden helpers.
Which is pretty darn cool.
And in that
right?
class, you get a little kit that has something for your altar for each of the elements.
Oh, yes,
So
you do.
there are a lot of things besides what's just here on the table. Candles, and I forgot to say that in the first class you get a crystal that you journey with, and that's
Yeah.
going to be your kind of Awen crystal for inspiration. There's so many things that you get over the course. We're hoping that some of the people who have taken it before
Be nice
will
if
give us a little bit of a review for it. So we've had oh gosh, I'm trying to think now how many
Of
people
course,
have gone.
2's just about to graduate in another
Right, so
month,
we're on our
and
we're on our third
halfway
round.
through the third course.
I think it's close to 40 people altogether
Right.
that have come on, but not everybody
Makes it to the end.
makes it to the end. It
That's for
doesn't
sure.
speak to everybody, or they thought it was a get rich quick. I'll
Yeah.
just take this class and they'll give me a
Excuse me.
badge and I'll be a high priest or high priestess. But it really is not your get rich quick class. You're going to take this for a year and a day. You're going to work on the wheel of the year, astrology, astronomy, the moon, the Mabinogi, how to do ritual. It's going to be transformative for you, and then you're going to dedicate at the end of that. So it really is probably too slow for some people,
Oh, I don't
but
know.
there's an intense amount of information, and a lot of the people who take the class at the end of that 2-hour lecture, they just kind of look at us and go, yeah, another data dump. So that's lesson 5, the elements.
The wonderful thing is, though, you're not in this by yourself. There's we
No,
have
you'll
a
have
message board as well.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, which we haven't mentioned yet, where people who are participating in the course, and in fact, everybody who's been through it, everybody who's completed that lesson, still has access to it, because we always say that when you set out on this path, you're responsible for those that follow you, that are behind you. We've taken an oath to preserve the path, and that's entirely what we're doing. And we try and impress upon people that it's not, anybody who's sort of gone first, hey, watch out for that pothole there, or there's a low. But understand also that it's your own personal journey, that nobody can have that journey for you. It's and you will go at the pace that you go at. I mean, some people like to run along, other people like to perhaps travel a little slowly, but I promise it is not about the destination.
No, there's
It
so
is
much to
oh, yeah.
digest and understand. And you'd really kind of be cheating yourself if you didn't give yourself that aha moment or that time to write down things in your journal and kind of look back at it later on.
There are no shortcuts.
So
They're just
lesson
fun.
6 is about magical timing.
Yes, indeed.
Magical timing and the basics of astrology and how to use astrology in spell casting. Practical advice for magical workings. And we do a ritual meditation to release past hurts with that one.
I wish we could release these pussycats.
They're having
I'm
mad
gonna,
moments.
If you see the camera just go blam,
Bang.
you'll know what's happened. So,
All right.
and they'll be living in the barn after that.
Class 7, Tools of the Craft.
Ah, yes,
That's,
tools.
again, a huge one. And with that class, you actually get a cord, and we consecrate them in the class, and we talk about cord magic and not magic and
If it's not magic, what is it?
not magic.
Ah,
And
I was joking.
it's just a really fascinating way that we explain each one of the tools. So, of course, all the tools have elemental rulerships, and there is a Pearls of Wisdom on our YouTube channel
There
if
is?
you want to kind of get an introduction for what that class might be about.
It's only an introduction, though.
Lesson 8.
Oh, yes, more about magic, ciphers, chakras, crystals, chanting, and more. It's quite a small one, this.
So yeah, in that class you get a set of witches' runes.
Yes.
And everybody learns how to divine with them.
Yes. Is it?
I think so.
Was that a divination class? I
Oh,
can't
maybe.
remember.
No, I don't know.
I haven't got a clue anymore. We'll figure it out as we go. But this is all about ciphers and magical
Ciphers, crystals, raising energy, chanting, all that kind of stuff's
all
in
that
there.
stuff. And yes,
Color
color
magic,
energy, yes, and
The
yeah,
chakras,
there's some good stuff in here.
the tarot for spell work and meditation is in there, the major arcana of the tarot.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things in there. But
good-
it talks
good
about
lesson.
like having your own language, your own cipher. It talks about magical alphabets. It talks about if I want to do prosperity magic, and I know that that's a very kind of Venus energy, and Venus is connected to heart chakra, then maybe I should charge the items for my magic at heart center because that's connected to the planet that's connected to prosperity. See what I mean? Downloads.
Kind of cool.
All
Kinda
right.
Cool. Then we get into
Oh, this is really cool.
so
class
this
9.
is that's where you get your thingies. This
Oh,
one.
there one,
Yeah,
okay.
we're one ahead of ourselves.
All right.
So this lesson 9 is wand making, the magical wand in theory and practice. We actually get to make wands here. So we found a wonderful source of beautiful.
He grows them purposely for coppicing for wands, and he has the honeysuckle
Yep,
that grows
up-
around them, so they have spirals on them.
They've got that focusing spiral, which is fantastic. So, yeah, this is a wonderful class. Yeah, we have touch wood. We haven't had anybody lose a finger yet, but there are sharp tools in this class. So.
Right. So we're saying that in addition to the binder, almost 250 pages of handouts, 2 books, circle in a box, an athame, a cord, a wand, the little box that you get for your altar. There's still other goodies that we haven't talked about. So it's really a pretty inexpensive course when you think about all the things that you get.
Shockingly good value.
All right, so
All right.
you get to hand make a real wand.
A real wand. A real wand.
Of course,
yes.
we have a consecration ceremony for that.
We do.
Consecrate like on like
There
with
you
that.
go.
Divination theory and practice, an introduction to the arts of tarot. The witches' runes are in this one. A meditation to program your runes, and everybody does group divination.
Excuse me.
And the tarot for spell work must have been in the other one. And we have some really cool ritual
Oh yeah, this
that
is
day.
a good one. Yeah.
And we quote Doreen's poetry and charge the runes. So that one's a really neat class. And then
11.
class 11, because by the time you get 11 months in, the craft is really starting to become a big part of your life, and you realize that it is a way of life. So we included kitchen witchin and hearth magic to help people understand again that their actions are kind of flowing out into everything. We talk about incense making, how to create a sacred space, how the hearth of your home is very important. We talk about foods and food groups, the doctrine of signatures. Oh my gosh, there's all kinds of things in
It's
here.
basically, how to take the mundane and make it magical.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful because that's the idea, isn't it?
All
Lead a
right.
magical life.
And then class 12, that one's a really cool one.
Oh, yes, indeed.
We talk about choosing a magical name, and we talk about ritual writing. Many of the people who go through the class will continue to come to our Friday night gatherings, and they will follow that ritual. And then other people who take the class, they're taking it because they really want to be more solid as a solitary practitioner. So we talk all about how to write a ritual, the outline of a ritual, why you would do things in a certain order, what speaks to you. We talk about deities and pantheons and how to align with them, and how important choosing a magical name really is, and that names have power and words have power. And in this class, we also talk a lot more about ethics too.
Ah, yes, ethics. Ethics
you
are
know,
important.
Again, not your get rich quick. And
No, because you're a year in now.
and
almost,
then
aren't you?
we help people write their dedication, choose their magical name and write their dedication. And then the following month, which is your day, year in a day, you would come for the dedication ritual. So you'd stand before the altar, make your pledge to whatever deity it is that you've chosen.
No.
Boom. And what's this over here by you?
Oh, and you get a robe.
You get a
right?
black
This is
robe, right?
beautiful
So-
black robe. So
Yeah.
so you've got there
And
as
an
well.
athame, right? You get a
Athame you
ritual,
don't get until
knife. You
dedication.
get that at dedication.
Yeah.
You're also going to get a pouch to hang on your cord. And what's this here?
It's a little, apparently a little pentacle,
pentacle?
to wear. So there
Right.
you go.
So that's pretty cool. You'd be all kitted out. You'd have your robe, your cord, your athame, your pentacle, some divination tools, a recorded ritual if you wanted to follow that. You could always follow that if you didn't want to write your own. And the year and a day classes are starting again in April. So get on over to the Facebook events page and click on that event, and so you could see the outline if you want, or give us a call, 845-255-5756, and join in the next group.
Yeah, and here's the good news. So a lot of people asked us, well, how can we join
Oh yeah,
in?
this is big time.
How can we join in if I live in California or Seattle or England? How do I do that? Well, this last course that we've got, course 3, we actually trialed a couple of ways of doing that, and we found something that works beautifully. So it's done via an online classroom now. The only commitment that you need to make is obviously you don't need to come all the way to New York to actually join in, but you would need to be available during the hours of the class. So it's on a Sunday
From 1
and
to 5
1
Eastern
to 5
Standard.
Eastern, well, Eastern Daylight, Eastern Standard, but one to
Oh yeah,
1
because
to
we're going
5.
into daylight savings, aren't we?
And that's it. So if you're in England, you're going to be either 4 or 5 hours ahead, depending on time of year. If you're going to be in California, you're going to be 3 hours behind us. But you can certainly join in.
And it is a 4-hour workshop. It's a 2-hour lecture, 1-hour ritual, and 1-hour book discussion. And that book discussion is very valuable too. A lot of really great questions are asked and things are brought up from the heart of Wicca.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, right now we have 2 people on the course from England. And then we also had someone who had to have surgery, so they were able to Zoom in for the class that they were going to miss for the month.
Yeah. And it works really well. If somebody's poorly and can't come to class, or
You don't
if-
want to be
just,
exposed to the
keep
tummy
it yourself,
virus. Yeah.
Keep it yourself. If for whatever reason there's horrendously bad weather and we've got an ice storm or something,
We can
that gives
still-
us the ability to do that. And you also then have access to Lisa and I via this sort of online. It's the best way. It's almost like a tutorial. It's a face-to-face chat. We can share our screen. We can show you diagrams and all that sort of stuff. And
you'll be part of
and
the
it's-
group that's
yeah.
going through. You'll hear their questions. You can ask questions.
Yep, they can hear you. And,
So that's worked
it's-
out really well. Yeah.
It's really good, and you don't need anything fancy in the way of equipment to do it. We use a bit of software called Zoom, which is entirely free. Free for you guys who are joining into the course. You can download it entirely for free, but it works on anything. Laptop, regular desktop computer, doesn't matter whether it's Mac or Windows, runs on an iPad or a whatever tablet or a phone, smartphone, Android or iPhone. So whatever you've got, if you've got it, you can join in literally from anywhere. And even if you don't have a computer, you can actually just join in with the audio, but that's going to be pretty tricky for you to see all the slides and stuff, because there's a full keynote presentation we do each time with some very informative slides. Involves There you go. It's apparently we're live now. So
Anyway, we'll put a link to the video in the Facebook event.
I think it's working again. So apparently we just dropped offline there, which is marvelous. So I'm not sure how far we got before we stopped broadcasting, because it's a Mercury retrograde,
Well,
isn't it?
it says we have 46 comments, and I can see 4.
Okay. So anyway, we'll just say, I don't know if we got to the part where we were talking about this is now available online.
It's available online. You can zoom in, but you have to be present. You can't just do it at your leisure sometime during the month.
No.
You have to zoom in to the classroom and be present and be part of that group, part of that group mind, part of that energy of that ritual, and all of that live stream in a Zoom classroom.
And if you're joining in from afar, you still get all the material.
Yep.
We'll ship it out
We'll
to
make
you.
sure you get everything.
So yeah.
And if you wanted to, I believe the 2 ladies who are taking the class right now in the UK are going to come to New York for dedication.
Oh wow. Okay.
So the door is always open for you to come for dedication as well.
We would also say one thing that Lisa and I can certainly do, if there's a whole group of you in some far off place somewhere, when it comes to dedication, we could probably arrange to come out to you for dedication. If it may be better than bringing sort of 15,
Right. If you have a little
people or
group, then
whatever.
you want to, make a coven. We could help you try to
Do
get
that.
there.
We can help. We can help if you like. So hopefully all of that makes sense. Yeah. Just to reiterate, while Lisa's trying to answer some things, Zoom is a wonderful remote learning experience. It actually costs you nothing. All of the software is entirely free, and when you sign up for the class, we'll send you the link where you can download that. It works on literally anything. Doesn't matter whether it's a Apple or a PC, a Mac or a PC, iPad or iPhone or Android phone. It works on that. That's the only thing you need. And we were mentioning that you can even join in, if you can't get to a computer, you can actually join in via phone as well. But that could be a bit awkward because you're not actually going to be able to see the slides, because there is a full AV presentation we actually do with that. So yeah. We'd love you to join us. The next course starts when exactly?
The first Sunday in April.
Oh, so that would be, I would have to look at my watch
I
for
think
that.
that's the 4th, maybe?
Might be, I don't know.
No, 7? 6, the 5th.
April 5th.
April 5th.
April 5th. So yeah, if you want to join in on that, if you can come in person, that's fantastic. We are limited to the number of people that we can actually get in. We had to, that's why we started doing 2 courses a year, because it does fill up, and it's quite interesting when everybody's sat on everybody else's lap at one point. But we're finding that the remote learning experience works really, really well. We had a few sort of hiccups working that out, but the Zoom thing is fantastic. It's literally like being in the classroom, and you can interact with the whole group just as if you were there. They can hear you, and you can hear them. So apparently we've got all sorts of messages coming in now. I don't know. It's all.
It says that that there are, like, I don't know even how many comments, but it won't let me see them. So
All right. Well, listen. What we'll do, we'll knock this on the head probably. So that's Coming Home to the Craft of the Wise. It's a year and a day course. It's not your get rich quick course. Far from it. It involves work. But it's a fantastic course, and if anybody's watching who's done the course so far and they want to chime in with their experience, or maybe even on the course right now, feel free to do so, because I'm sure people would love to hear about that. So yeah, that's us. I think that's. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or are you now getting sucked into?
I think I'm sucked into Facebook answering comments.
Oh, all right then. Well,
But yes, really think about joining us. We are real Wiccan people, high priest and high priestess,
yes, you're real.
who have been working for a very long time.
You don't get the purple T-shirt though.
I've been on the path a little over 30 years. Anton, well over 20 years now,
Yes,
20
yeah.
years.
Getting
And
old, man. Getting
oh,
old.
and our book again is coming out next month. So we are for real. We want to help people. We want to raise witches. We want to preserve the path, and we really are looking forward to helping people find what speaks to them.
Yep. If you're interested in learning about traditional witchcraft, from certainly a Celtic Wiccan perspective, which is we follow a Welsh Celtic pantheon, this might be right up your street. So if you want to have a chat with us beforehand, we'll certainly field any questions you've got. You know, you don't have to just dive in. So give us a shout. Text us, messages, phone us, send a carrier pigeon.
So there you go.
Or whatever works, because apparently this hasn't worked out too well this evening. We've had this. We were broadcasting nicely. Emmett's destroyed most of the house while we've tried being
thrown
online.
stuff over there. He's thrown
everything's
stuff
thrown
over there.
everywhere.
But that's
so-
him. He
but-
just can't help himself.
But we're doing. Oh, please don't break anything else. We'll
All
have to
right.
start a GoFundMe
Well-
to replace the stuff he breaks for us.
Right.
It's about the size of it.
All right, so robe, athame, cord, divination tools, CD, 2 books, a journal, all of the written material, a pentacle, and other goodies pretty much for every ritual that we do. So come on and join us, and it'll be a great way that you can be a solitary, or that you'll be
Yes.
really welcome at ritual.
Absolutely, and not to be modest, but the course really doesn't suck. We've put an awful lot of effort into this, and it's we think it's okay. And if somebody else would care to agree or disagree, I dare
disagree.
you. Disagree. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We will. I think we'll shut up before we break everything. Although you're now answering people as well.
I am. It's all good.
So should
Thank
should we
you.
keep going or
No,
should we not?
no,
We
it's
should
all
stop.
good.
Well, I don't know if people have finally just joined us. I mean, what are we doing for the rest of the evening? I'd stay here all night and answer questions. I don't care. It's all good fun stuff. So I do need to get something to drink though. I'm awfully dry.
I think we need to go.
I think we should go. Yeah, it was our psychic fair the weekend, and I talked myself hoarse. So anyway, we'll bid you an awfully good evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And check us out. And if you like what we're doing, mash that subscribe button and like and all that fun stuff, because we appreciate your support.